Why does your faith matter to you? Why does your faith matter to you?
Hey everybody.
Hey.
Okay. My faith in Jesus is important to me because I know I will never be alone. It's easy to feel like you're walking alone in life, but by having faith, I realize Jesus is with me every step of the way. Also, Jesus gives me hope for a future with him. Lots of times I get caught up in what's going on today or tomorrow or even what's happened in the past, but I know with Jesus that I will have eternal life with him, and that gives me a lot of hope. So that's all.
Brett asked me, I guess it's the same question. On the board it said, why does your faith matter to you? And I think you said, what does your faith mean to me? And all I wanted to say is that what my faith means to me is it means grace, and then it means whatever the opposite of grace is, which is law, which is the discipline aspect of it. Because I feel like when you just take the grace aspect of God and the relationship with God, then you're kind of just justifying the sin. You can do whatever you want. That's the extreme. But when you go to the law side, you just kind of, you just have that iron fist, and then you do not have the grace whenever you mess up, because you're bound to mess up eventually. So just having those two sides the grace is for my shortcomings and my failures, of course, and then the law is to direct me back to what I need, direct me back to God, and inevitably what is going to give me a better quality of life. So that's what my relationship with God means to me.
Thanks.
So my faith is very important to me because sometimes I find myself, I'll read the Bible and I'll be like, okay, I'll do this stuff because, I should. But then sometimes what I really need to do is just have faith that this will bring me closer to God, and this will bring me to heaven, and just have absolute faith that's not just means to an end. And when I do that, I can just know that he's here for me no matter what I'm doing, whether it's big or small, whether I'm talking in a group a little too big for my comfort zone. And just the absolute peace that having faith in God can bring you.
Awesome. Thanks.
So I had 3 bullet points that I wrote down about why does faith matter to me. The first was, without faith I have nothing. Without it, we're just not working for anything here. We're just here to be here. The second, I want to read a verse, 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith and not by sight. The more I rely on my faith, the more answers I can find. And that verse, I think really, it really tells what that bullet point means. The more I rely on my faith, the more answers I find. The big decisions we have in life, if you just give it to God, it's a no-brainer. And finally, my last point is, faith takes away your stress and worries. If you're like me, we all have school. It's not fun. We have a lot of stress and a lot of worries about school, and it can fog up your mind and get in the way of you really thinking about the Lord. And if you give it all to Him, again, it becomes easy, and you just lean on Him, and it's just a shoulder to lean on. It's awesome. And to wrap it up, we're called to have faith in our Lord, and without our faith, we are alone. But with it, we can do so many great things.
It's good to see y'all and be back again. But my faith, oh my goodness, it is so important to me because it impacts literally every single thing that I do in my life. No matter where I'm going, no matter what I'm doing, my faith is there with me. And I think that's so comforting to know that God is always with us and that He's going to be right there. And He tells us, that it's not like we're going to have times that we're not going to have to walk through the fire, but He does promise us that we're not going to be alone when we have to walk through that fire. And so faith is comfort. Faith is knowing that I always have a friend. Faith is knowing that I'm going to lead a life of love, of joy, and of peace, ultimately. And I think that that's so comforting. And so my faith is so important to me because following Jesus is ultimately the most fulfilling thing that I could do with my life. So, yeah. And again, it's good to see y'all again. I'm happy to be
Hey guys, long time no see. I know it's been a while since I've seen you guys. We miss you. We definitely miss Kingwood, and maybe one day we can get back, and maybe when times are a little bit better with the virus and things, we can come back and spend the day or two with you. But I hope you're doing well. I heard that you're meeting back tonight, so that's exciting. I hope that you don't have to separate again. I hope that that's the kind of the end of all that. And think about how close you guys are and how difficult it must be to kind of be separated. But hopefully you can stay together moving forward. I was asked a question about why my faith is important to me. And I hope that as I share my comments, because I'm going to be real with you a little bit, I hope that maybe one of you is encouraged as you walk out tonight, and hopefully maybe it'll help solidify your faith as you continue to grow in God's Word. But my faith is important to me because of where it's rooted. It's rooted in God. I mean, you think about that, and you think about being rooted in God. I mean, God is the creator of the world. He created me. And if my faith is rooted in God, man, that says a lot. My faith is also rooted in Jesus and his death and his burial and his resurrection. And no matter what people may say or what they may do, they cannot go back 2,000 years and take away the death and burial and resurrection of Jesus Christ. They just can't. And then lastly, my faith is rooted in the hope that I have because of Jesus Christ and God's grace and the hope of eternal life. I think this is important because of what I've had to go through throughout my life. I've tried for a majority of my life trying to bring salvation to my own life. And in a way, that's kind of what the world does. That we all have to ask that question, what must I do to be saved? And the difference in the Christian's question and the world's question is, well, we know the answer is laid up in the gospel and what Jesus did, where the world is still trying to figure out how they can save themselves. And so I spent majority of my life placing my faith in baseball, an 18-year career that came to an end short of my goal. I placed my faith in my family, my parents, and maybe other women that I dated. And even Val, when we first met, I placed my faith in her. I've placed my faith in drunkenness. I've been high. I've put my hope, is another way I guess you can look at it, in other things outside of the Bible. Even the gym. I put faith in the gym and my personal physical appearance. And here's the problem with that: when baseball ended, so did my faith. When my parents were divorced, my faith was divorced. When they let me down, my faith let me down. When women didn't meet my expectations, neither did my faith. When I sobered up, so did my faith. When the high left, so did my faith. When I wasn't strong enough in the gym, neither was my faith. When I didn't look good enough to myself, neither did my faith. You see what I'm getting at? It's shaky. It's subjective in a way. You know, if life is good, then my faith is good. If life is down, then my faith is down. And that's not how it was meant to be. And that's why it's so important to me, because there was one day where it just clicked. It clicked that the only person and the only thing that wouldn't let me down would be God and Jesus and the work that they did to bring mankind back in a relationship with Jesus. And so when our faith is rooted in that, then it doesn't matter what storms we face in life. It doesn't matter if we're on the mountaintops or in the valleys. Our faith stands strong. It's unshakable. I think about the wise man who built his house upon the rock, right? The storms came and it stood strong. And then what happened when the foolish man built his house on the sand? Well, the same storms came, but the house fell. And so the idea is to place your faith in something that's just unshakable. And the only thing that's for certain every single day, whether it's in the past, whether it's in the present, or whether it's in the future, is God, is the death and burial and resurrection of Jesus, and the hope of eternal life. You think about our world today and just how you have people with this virus. Take this virus, for instance. You have people that place their hope in doctors. But yet doctors don't even know what's going on with this virus. They can't control it. What was it, a year ago, we needed to wear masks, and that was going to be the end of the problem. And now they're telling us we need to wear 2 masks. You know, what sense does that make? You know, politics. A lot of people put their faith in politics or in the president. But again, those people, they're humans and they make mistakes. And so when they make their mistakes, then those people's faith fail them. And you look at athletics, obviously I can speak into the athlete part. They're humans as well, and they're going to let you down. Anything in this world is going to let you down. And when they do, if your faith is in that, then your faith is going to be let down. And so the only one thing that is true is God and His gospel. And so it serves as motivation for me. It's a large part of why we sold everything we had and moved to Knoxville, so I can learn how to do the work of a minister, and so I can go and help people. To share my story, you kind of got a little bit of my story right now. If I can save just one person from going through the pain and the sorrow that I had to go through trying to figure out where my faith needed to be, then my ministry is worth it. And so it serves as motivation. But why my faith is important to me is because it's rooted in God, it's rooted in Jesus, it's rooted in eternal life that will always be true. So I hope that's encouraging to some of you. I hope that maybe it'll help bring understanding to your own faith. And I wish you nothing but the best. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And again, we'll try to get down to Kingwood when things get better, hopefully soon, and check in on you guys. But last thing I have is you got Super Bowl Sunday coming. And I know Brett and those Chiefs fans are really excited, but who can't root for Tom Brady to win another Super Bowl? So with that being said, go Bucks. Bye, guys.
I didn't really do anything to prepare, so it ties in really well that my question is about trusting God. Just trust God that I'm gonna do well, I guess. So, trusting God to me is basically just knowing that I'm walking this tightrope of the world, and people are the world just throwing temptations at me. It's like trying to walk across a tightrope and just people just throwing dodgeballs at you over and over again. All these temptations, left, right, up, down, center, everything is just coming at you. And even if you fall, God is going to be there to lift you up. He's your safety net. And so He's kind of like, He's the narrow path and small gate, and how it's going to be hard to get to Him, but if you persevere, if you take the hits by the dodgeballs, and you're going to make it to the other side, make it to heaven, and ultimately just spend eternity with Him. So, yeah. I'm just happy that I can trust God no matter what.
So when I was thinking about this, the biggest word that comes to my mind when I think of my faith is hope. Because, through all the hardships in my life, through all the friends that leave and the relationships that end up failing, my relationship with God, it never fails. He's always there. And when everything else seems to fail and everyone else seems to leave, it's awesome to have that reassurance that He never leaves me. And He's always cheering me on. And I can have faith in knowing that one day I will be with Him. And so that's what my faith means to me, because it just gives me this hope that there's a better future. And yeah, that's what my faith means to me.